What's up, y'all? This is Timothy Cato III, and this is I Got More to Say. Frankie rejoins us today and talks about Beautiful Daze, the album, coming July 30th. Enjoy. Frankie!
Yeah, my guy, what's happening?
What's going on, Franks? How you doing?
Man, it's good to be here with you again. Good to having a good conversation with you, man. We here. It's a beautiful day to have a beautiful day. So what we gonna do?
We gonna have one. My man, Frankie. Frankie, first and foremost, bro, you know, today we making history, because I Got More to Say, you are the first person to have a follow-up appearance.
Hey, let's do it.
You know, I don't think that there's anybody better than my bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's anybody better than you, Frankie. So it's a pleasure and it's an honor to have you here. Thank you for waking up early in the morning to come up all the way here to Rochester to come kick it with me. I appreciate it. But man, Frankie, how are you feeling today?
Man, we feeling blessed. It's a beautiful Monday. As you mentioned earlier, we got the album coming out. Like, we here just putting some groundwork in and continuing to keep the gears moving. You know, another day that God grants us to wake up. Man, I can't say nothing bad about that. So how about you, brother?
Man, I'm blessed, Frankie. You know, the last, when we put out the last episode we had, you know, I was a little tired from shooting all the music videos and everything, but feeling real good. Good day in the gym, good meal, a lot of prayer. You know, handled a little bit of business today. You know, so you know it's a beautiful day outside. So you know, I'm definitely feeling good. Frankie, you mentioned the album, but before we get into that, Frankie, you know, I kind of came in. You know, we have a new setup here, and I Got More to Say. You know what I'm saying? We filming in Rochester, and you know, Frankie, what I wanted to do is I wanted to definitely, you know, kind of spruce it up a little bit. So you know, before I had the record wall at the previous spot we shot at. So for this one, I had to make sure that I kept the music flowing. I know me and you kind of picked out a couple of our favorites that we enjoy. Let's talk about these real quick. Let's show some respect to the OGs. Frankie, how you feeling about some of these albums, bro? Talk to me about any one you want to. We got some Fugees up here. We got The Chronic, Hell Hath No Fury, To Pimp a Butterfly, bro. Let me know.
Man, with any of these albums, I feel like you can't go wrong catching the vibe. Good Kid, Mad City, a beautiful album by Kendrick Lamar. You know, as we know, beautiful follow-ups as well. But Kendrick, he kind of takes you into that cinematic vibe. And I like how on his album cover he said like a short film by. So it kind of, although it's an album, it's an audio album, he's still like taking you into that type of realm of a kind of like a movie, you know? The Chronic, man, I bump The Chronic all the time. Nice, heavy West Coast vibes. Dr. Dre going on a production, then stepping into that lane as a, you know, letting people know that he's a spitter too. And then, man, Fugees. Man, we got some heat here. We got some heat here, man.
Definitely.
What you feeling about these joints, though, man? So this all from your collection, G's. I know they all hold a special place, so, man, let me know. What's going on?
And just for the record, I do not buy vinyl unless that vinyl is of some superior quality and some superior stature.
For sure.
So I don't just buy any vinyl. If I go out and I actually buy your vinyl, that means your music hit me and it means something to me. So, as you said before, Frankie, a lot of these mean a whole lot to me. But, you know, I'm going to start with this Playboi Carti. I mean, his self-titled debut. This ain't even his debut album. This technically is a mixtape.
Okay.
Man, I mean, you know, when Playboi Carti first came out, you know, that was like one of the peaks of like the SoundCloud era. You know what I'm saying? Because like when it comes to like the SoundCloud era of rap, you know, I'm a big proponent of the SoundCloud era. You know what I'm saying? That was a very good era. And, you know, that album, nothing sounded like it. Like Carti ain't really talking about a whole lot. He just like the young nigga era. You know what I'm saying? Just fly talk, you know, a lot more about style than it necessarily is substance and just having like a good time. So, I mean, that album just bring back, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like, you know, kind of like the like, you know, your party years, like my turn up years, you know?
For sure.
And a hugely influential album too. I mean, you know, people still try to mimic and do what Carti does, from his, you know, his voice to, you know, the way he say things, his ad-libs. So I definitely gotta, you know, that Carti one lived special within my heart. I actually got a special story about this one. I was just on the internet one day just looking up random vinyl, and I ended up going on Guitar Center's website, and I ended up seeing that, and I never knew it came out on vinyl, and I just bought it.
Man, that cover art going crazy.
Definitely.
Man. One thing, my bad, but one thing I like to say, man, like the vinyls, I think it provide a whole different aspect of like the artistry, you know, like because it does bring more of a spotlight on that cover too. Like you got a whole, these damn near posters if you really wanted them to be, and like,
you put them up on your wall.
Shrines, like so many beautiful enshrinements of, people's favorite vinyls and stuff like that, so.
Yeah. And music is missing tangibility. Me and you were around the same age. Remember when we used to go to the record stores and buy the CDs, and it was something about taking it out the plastic, putting it in the CD player,
and hearing it spin.
You know what I mean? CDs that was a great era of music. And like I said, just that tangible feeling of music, that's just something that we're missing now. And a lot of it is done through like merchandising, and I'm all for it. But I miss like when you could actually like hold on to the music. You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? I miss like when, it was actually like an artifact. Now it just lives within our phone. So I think that's the thing I love about it. But just to finish up on here, Hell Hath No Fury. When it comes to like the drug dealer rap, the coke rap, pushing his brother No Malice, or he was Malice at the time, but they redefined it. They commercialized it. Like I feel like, you had the Raekwons, and you had the Ghostface, and you had several rappers that, really got down with like the drug lingo. Those are some of the first that I think of. But I feel like they modernized it, because you got like club songs on this album. Like this is a dope record. Like if you look at the, I don't want to mess up kind of what we got going on here, but like if you, sorry, but I got to show the listeners. If you look at this album, like this album is, hold on, can the camera get it? Yeah, the camera getting it. Like, hold on, let me hold it straight. Yeah, like this album, they got all this money on the wall. This stove is not for cooking food. It's for cooking something else. You know what I'm saying? They got on, I don't even know, the big jeans, the big chains. You got like, the watches. Like, this is coke rap at its finest. Even when you look at the back, they got the clips. Hold on, where's it at?
Come on.
They got the clips on the hubcap of the Bentley.
Come on.
You see what I'm saying?
That's different.
Yeah, like, before coke rap was, like the way it looked was just, so gritty and like, so street. And this doesn't sacrifice any of the grittiness of the street, culture of it. But it's still like, like I said, it commercialized that went with a dude, Mr. Me Too. Like, a lot of that is deeply rooted in drug culture, but, it's still a thorough street record, and that's why I love that album so much. And then, so shout out to Clips. Like I said, one of the greatest, one of the most underrated hip hop duos of all time. And then, because like I said, they commercialized it. And then, I can't leave up off of here without talking about Gucci. For those of you who don't know, Gucci Mane is one of my favorite rappers. Him, Project Pat, Biggie, Tupac. Those is probably like my top four. Those four are the first that come to mind. I just remember, I always like, Gucci was always like a figure to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like with the jewelry to, talking about trapping, just what he was about, how, his unique sound, how underground he was. And like I said, when he first came out with this album, like I said, I was like a little boy when I first got caught on to this. So, this album definitely holds a special spot in my heart. And I still listen to Gucci. And shout out to Gucci. We talk about like, rappers just kind of, growing old and living positive and doing, better for themselves and their community. Like I see Gucci with a family, he got a record label. He's still signing some of the hottest talent out. He's still working with all these different artists. He's still staying very current, man. Gucci is aging like a fine wine in his rap game. So shout out to Gucci. But anyways, Frankie, now that we done went and talked about this, man, let's jump into Beautiful Daze. Now, Beautiful Daze, July 30th. Make sure that y'all go grab that. Yes, on all streaming platforms. Make sure that y'all go grab that. But Frankie, I just introduced the project a little bit. When it just came to me going to Syracuse, I remember I was having a conversation with his name is Patrick. I was having a conversation with him, and I was like, man, Patrick, like do we have to take capstones in order to get our masters? It's just that and the third. Because for those of you who don't know, Syracuse University, Newhouse, has the #1 communications program in the world.
You heard it.
Yes, and I'm a product of that, and I wear that badge proudly. But I was going and I was talking to him, Frankie, and I just was like, man, like, what kind of capstones do we got to take? He was like, there's an audio capstone. And I was interested. Because I always thought to myself, like I said before, I'm not a rapper. But I was like, I've always been interested in it. I love being in the studio, on and I always wanted to work with you. And he was like, man, like, you know, we do got an audio capstone where you can make an album. We have to make something quality, this, that, and the third. And you was the first person I thought of, you know, just because, you know, I had been with your discography ever since the first album, Frank's the album. You know what I'm saying? And then I watched you grow and progress to, Liberation. And then, you know, when you came with the Butterfly Effect, you know, outside of Beautiful Days, the Butterfly Effect is my favorite album that you ever put out. I was like, man, like, I got to get Frankie up here to this studio. I got to, you know, help him find and perfect and craft his sound. So, you know, that's why when I called you and you said you was with it, you know, we had our first studio session like September, October. I mean, it was from there. But talk to us about the album, though, Frankie.
Man, so, I mean, man, that's a beautiful introduction to it. Like you said, for me, it was unexpected. You know, I would say, like, with my other albums, you know, definitely had some time to breathe and let people kind of digest the content that was on the project. And then also give some time for me to experience life, too. You know, I wouldn't say I live a high active life, but I do like to get things in. I like to be productive. I like to, you know, kind of make my own memories and stuff like that. And then, you know, really when you hit me up and was like, you know, brought the idea to me, I'm like, man, why not? You know, I love music. Why not, you know, continue to push that, And I would say, really, I don't know, it was different because I never really had the resources accessible like that. It was like, okay, if I'm just writing and things like that for other projects, and so I had things stored up, you know, songs I could just go to the studio and do that. But for this project, it was more so like everything on the spot because I didn't know I was gonna be making this album, but it's like, I still got more to say, like, after the Butterfly Effect, like, no pun intended, but, like, after the Butterfly Effect, it was, like, just seeing that type of momentum, and I feel like I gave people a different, like, side of me. Like, not, like, I would say a more vulnerable, like, I would say more softer side, like, really diving into details, like, even with the, you know, cover art, like, having the butterflies on it, like, you know, really stepping into, like, that, I don't know, like, you know, that black boy joy type thing, you know, like we go through a lot of things. We experience like a lot of trauma sometimes just naturally in our environments. So it's kind of like exploring that, talking about that and letting that be an outlet. Like it's this butterfly that I'm just letting out to the world. And, you know, Beautiful Days is kind of like I don't know, just like a dope follow-up for that, to be like, that was the softer side. Now Beautiful Days is more like all right, we back to, you know, we giving a wholesome experience of the process, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like not to say it's like a part B or like a side B, but in the same type of way, that's kind of what it feels like, because I didn't have that, kind of like that longer hiatus how I would between my other projects. So it was like still kind of getting off those thoughts and really just wrapping this kind of era of my life up. So that's kind of how I thought about it and really perceived it. And then we looked up, we got 8 tracks, man, and, you know, they all hit, they all are, you know, mean something personal to me. I hope they mean something personal to you, like, just the whole journey. So, man, I would ask you, like, how is that like for you, man? Like, even just, you know, that's my perspective as an artist and being able to dive in. But I feel like, you know, you definitely put a lot of that groundwork in to allow me to just be an artist, which I would say that was another difference from this project. So I leave it at that, brother.
I got you. I definitely appreciate that, Frankie. As far as how it feels for me, you know, I try to when I first, like I said, knew that I was gonna be doing the audio capstone, and, you know, like the audio, like when I was gonna be doing the audio capstone, I thought to myself, like, man, okay, when we're coming up with an album, we got to think of topic, we got to think of artist, and we got to think of message, and we got to think of how we're going to get it out there. So, you know, when me and you, like, the minute I thought about that, I'm like, okay, Kato, if you're going to kind of drive this ship, you need to have those things figured out. And that was going to be a little bit, I ain't going to say more difficult, but there's going to be another level to it, because you have to help not only have an artist that can talk about the things that, you know what I'm saying, you believe in and that you want to hear about, but it also has to be in alignment with them. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
So, you know, I just sat back and I was like, you know, Frank's is that person. I was like, you know, you listen to Frank's album and he talking about everything. He's talking about, you know, society. He's talking about growing up, you know what I'm saying, as a black man in America. He's talking about growing up in an urban area. And, you know, I was like, man, I really want to make something positive. Because, you know, going to Syracuse, you know, I'm one of 5 people of color, you know, in my cohort. My cohort is fairly small, granted.
For sure.
But me, and then there's another Latino, shout out Vanessa, shout out V-Steez.
Shout out Vanessa.
Yeah, definitely. I really wanted y'all to work together, but we'll make it happen. You know, I didn't necessarily know. I was kind of afraid to kind of go in and be judged. Because I'm like, man, I'm coming in here, you know, I look the way I look, you know what I'm saying? You know, and, you know, I am who I am. I carry myself the way I carry myself. And, you know, so I'm like, man, I don't know if these people even understand hip hop, because when I'm walking into a room full of, and, you know, shout out to the audio arts cohort, because I'm not trying to talk negatively about them at all. But like I said, this was just my thing going into it, you know, and then I'm like, man, like, I love hip hop. This is my thing. I know more about it probably than everybody. Do they understand the culture of hip hop? Do they even know kind of where it comes from? Like, I understand they know, they might think they know what it means now, but like, do they know really where, you know what I'm saying, the basis of it comes from? And I've always viewed hip hop as a way to, you know what I'm saying, like inspire and talk to like our people. So anyways, that was like my basis of it. Like, I was like, man, like, okay, I want to make something positive, and I want to make sure that hip hop's represented in the correct way. Because a lot of people think that hip hop is just about partying and drug use and selling dope and all that. And you know what? That's an element of it. I ain't gonna sit up here and act holier than thou. I ain't gonna sit up here and act like, you know, it doesn't have that. But, you know, I was just listening to some of the things on the radio, and like a lot of things were just kind of negative. I felt like I wasn't necessarily, like the things that was being pushed to us, I wasn't feeling like I was necessarily hearing anything that inspired me. Like, you know, when I listen to music, I want to be inspired. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, I want to listen to something that, you know, kind of, you know, get my blood pumping, or, you know, you know, kind of make me maybe feel aggressive, make me feel tough. But I also do want to be inspired. Now, I'm not saying you got to become, you know, just start preaching, you know what I'm saying, and getting up there, you know, but I was like, man, like, we got to start talking to each other. We got to start having more conversations. Because I was looking at a lot of the rappers, a lot of my favorite rappers die or go to jail. A lot of my favorite rappers over the course of the last like 6 or 7 years are either dead or in jail. Pooh Shiesty, Young Dolph, Nipsey Hussle. You know, I'm sure that there's a couple others that I probably can't think of. Pop Smoke, King Von, a lot of them. And I'm like, man, like, artists are just, you know, rest in peace to all those guys, but artists are just passing away. I'm like, man, like, what can I do to bring something to this genre that I love to make it more positive, to inspire, and, you know, to communicate with our people? Because music, the target demographic is between 16 to 24.
For sure.
So a lot of it is young people. So if young people ain't hearing nothing, or excuse me, if young people feel like the only music, because, you know, most people listen to music on a mainstream level. A lot of people ain't on Twitter, on Instagram, looking and hearing and searching for, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, more street or underground things. Right. I'm like, man, like, you know, like, we got to talk to these 16 and 24-year-olds, especially us 16 and 24-year-old young black men, because we have so much power right now. We have a lot of the influence. We have a lot of the voices. We understand technology the best. And, you know, we dying at a rapid rate. We getting jailed at a rapid rate. Or the suicide level is very high. I was like, man, like, we got to speak to people. We got to speak to everybody, but we got to speak to people who look like us. And I'm sorry, I know that was a little bit long-winded, but, like, you know, I wanted, like, I was always inspired by, like, G Herbo. When I listened to him, he inspired me. When I listened to Nipsey Hussle, he inspired me. When I listened to certain songs by Gucci, he inspired me. When I listened to Tupac, he inspired me. When I listened to Big, he inspired me. And I started thinking about it in that same realm. I was like, man, I know you on a personal level, but when I was 18 years old and I seen you at Oswego, our alma mater, you know, shout out Oswego. But when I seen you at Oswego and you was just up, you was always positive. You was always smiling. You was always utilizing your voice. You was always talking about something. Like, whether it was your music or rather it was just you speaking, I was always inspired by that, and I feel like that's why we have such a good friendship. So, anyways, Frankie, that was my inspiration behind the project, and I feel like we more to executed my our vision. I ain't gonna say mine, our vision and what we aim to do.
Yeah, man. I think, man, just to add on a little bit, I really think that it was dope to really structure and have, like, topics, you know, hard topics to talk about, like concrete things to talk about, like the positivity, talking about like, you know, playing your position, like what is it, you know, all these components of, you know, the things that I kind of have and the things that you have, like, and that we look for and strive to do in this world, you know, strive to uplift and things like that. Those were kind of some of the, you know, the topics that we talked about, like, before even diving into all the lyrics. So that kind of helped me really be more on board with the process and take it a little bit more serious, rather than like other projects where I was just passively writing things, like whatever came to my mind. This was, every song was with the intention of like, this is for that young black kid, or this is, you know, in some songs, and even in, you know, the outro, Make Peace, like, that's me, you know, that's me who I'm talking to. And it's a lot of people who kind of come from our certain backgrounds, like, you know, maybe we didn't have like both of the parents in the household. Maybe we didn't have the greatest like environmental situations, or, you know, the best like opportunities, but to still you make something out of it. That was, you know, that was something that was really dope and important while, you know, like coming up with the project, you know, like on the artist side. So that was dope, man.
Mm-hmm. Nah, definitely, Frankie, and I salute you because, you know, we hit on so many topics on this album. I mean, we hit on recreational drug use, we hit on relationships, we hit on, you know, your life story. I mean, we hit on quite a few things. Like, what was like one of the songs on the album that you feel like, you know, was like your most impactful as far as like social commentary? Because you got a few.
Ooh, social can I do personal and then social?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So let's say, so the personal kind of came up to me, but I think it kind of can play into the societal. Mm-hmm. So I would say track 7, Alicia's Key. So that joint is about kind of like somebody having a dream, somebody having a vision. You working towards it. Sometimes, you know, there's other obstacles in the way. Like, we got real life jobs, we have real life circumstances that can kind of impact their journey. But at the end of the day, it's like, what you waiting for? Like, you know, if you don't, somebody told me, my Aunt Reed said, like, if you don't make a plan for yourself, like, people gonna make plans for you. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you got this thing in your heart. Like, for me, I was speaking from a point of like, I know this music is like one of my purposes and passions and stuff like that, one of my callings. So it's like, I'm doing all these other things, like, although it's feeding like my pockets, or you know, feeding like, you know, the personal growth of other people and things like that. Like, at a certain point, I had to really think about like, what am I doing for myself, and what's the hold up. So I would say like that, you know, that's kind of like the personal, and, you know, it's kind of leading to the social, because I feel like we all have those type of battles in some type of way or form, you know. Societal, I think just from hearing other conversations and people who have listened to the album, the song Without You, Aloha, like that one is probably one of the most social impactful, because especially in the realm of music, as you talked about, like, in the mainstream, they talk about like the cars, you talk about the women, you talk about like the jewelry, all of that stuff. We talk about drug use. Drug use is something that's very prevalent in the game, you know. Some people talk about like, you know, they use it to help fuel their creativity, or, you know, help them maintain their lifestyle or sustain, you know, staying up and things like that, or to help them escape from reality. However, I kind of gave like the real aspect of it, like, this can really hinder who you are. This can hinder like the moves that you're trying to make if you allow it to, you know, like everything in moderation. However, just make sure it is moderate, you know, and if you can avoid vices and things like that that aren't truly helpful or productive for you, then that would be the goal. But to be realistic, we all have something that we cling on to, you know, cope. You know, it's not always as impactful as like drugs and stuff like that. Sometimes it could be like really as beneficial as like meditating and, you know, prayer and things like that. However, you know, we are going through something, and so it's hard to kind of say that everything's going to be well. However, man, just just keep going and face your fears instead of hiding from your fears and running from them, you know? So that's why I would say that would be like the most like social impactful joint that I could really think about from the project right now. How about you, man? I know like, man, you know, you definitely listen to these tracks, like you definitely help like structure and, you know, send inspiration for these different types of tracks for me to kind of tap into that bag. So, you know, what would be those songs for you? Like, I would guess like personal and social.
Personal, definitely Without You. Because reason being is I remember like when I was going through a real hard time in my life. I don't want to get too emotional on camera, but essentially like you know, when my granny died and my aunt passed, like within like about 3 weeks of each other, you know, I was just, actually it was probably a little bit, it probably really started before that, but definitely kind of during that time, I ran from everything, you know. And I would do everything in my power not to feel my emotions. So, you know what I'm saying? Like when we was up, like, you know, cause this was my senior year of college, and, you know, we was at Oswego. So, you know what I'm saying? I was drinking heavy, smoking mad weed, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and then of course classes are easier cause, you know, it's COVID, everything's online, you get wellness days, you know what I'm saying? We probably missed like about 6 or 7, you know, classes, you know what I'm saying? A piece from each class. So,
sure.
you know, like, that's what I was using to cope. And, you know, in a way I was kind of like out my mind, you know? Like, and why I say out my mind is because, you know, I was, like I said, drinking and smoking. And when you do things like that, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody, because some people, as you said, are a little bit more within a creative realm and a creative self. It takes you away from here. You know what I'm saying? It puts you in another space. So I was kind of using it to escape, and then, you know, eventually, like I said, I think that's kind of one of the key things that helped me move to Atlanta. And you remember how Atlanta went, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna call it the worst, but you know what I'm saying? Definitely the hardest 8 months of my life.
Strengthening for sure.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, when I just was hearing that song and I was hearing you talking about facing your problems and staying away from, you know, substances and, you know, facing your fears and facing yourself, you know, I definitely, as far as facing your problems and facing your fears, you know, I definitely, you know, really vibe and really connected with that song. Like, I felt like if I would have heard that song a couple years ago, I think that I might have thought twice about, you know, some of the habits and some of the things that I was doing.
For sure.
So I definitely probably have to say Without You from like a personal stance. And then from a societal level, I might have to go Done With You. The relationship culture right now, especially I feel like amongst black people, is absolutely terrible. You know,
it's crazy in the streets, man.
Yeah,
for
like,
sure.
you know, and I mean it in a multitude of different ways, like, especially on media.
Yeah.
On media, I just feel like everything is just, especially black relationships. I ain't gonna talk about all, I'm gonna talk about black relationships. And maybe this is just what I see, but I just see, it seems like black men and black women, we're at war with each other.
Yeah.
We're having a hard time having conversations about love. We're having a hard time being honest with each other about relationships. And then you wanna know something else too? And, you know, I'm just gonna be honest when I say this. I feel like us being toxic with one another is so profitable, and people are making so much money off of us getting on TikTok, getting on social media, just kind of bashing each other and being out of love with each other, that we don't, like, we're blind to it. Like, it's like almost anytime I jump on the gram, I see, you know, and I'm not gonna use music as an example for this because, like, for example, I got an idea in my head, like when Lotto go, broke niggas make you choose, rich niggas buy you both. You know what I'm saying? That's music. You know what I'm saying? I ain't tripping about that. But then, you know, when you get on there and you see some things talking about like, sis, he don't care about you, and you know what I'm saying, bro, focus on yourself, and you know what I'm saying, she's for the streets, and you know what I'm saying, niggas ain't shit, bitches ain't shit, kind of culture we live in.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, when are we gonna get back to loving each other?
Word up.
Yeah,
That's
you know what I'm saying?
fact.
And when are we gonna stop putting the blame on one another? And like I said, I've never been in a relationship, so I'm not trying to sit up here and speak like I'm holier than thou. But at the same time, too, I would like to see things change, and just to hear you speak, you know, give your opinion and your views just as far as some of the things that you went through, as far as some of maybe, you know, your struggles and things of that nature. I think that was real big of you. And, you know, I feel like you were telling your story, but you were also being inspirational with it as well. You know?
for sure.
You know, so I think that's my thing. I think like just in a time of, you know what I'm saying, black men and black women, we just seem like we're just so at odds with, you know what I'm saying, our, as far as like relationships. I feel like you came in and, you know, you really offered like a fresh new perspective through music. So I salute you for that.
I appreciate that. No, for sure. I think like going with that song, it was interesting. Like it's always interesting to do a love song because that's not my bag that I like normally am in, but the relationship aspects on the personal tip is something that's been, I would say, like impactful. You know, definitely been through a few relationships, and they were all strengthening. You know, like I wouldn't regret any of them. You know, but I would say, yeah, like that. I just want to give my perspective and like just talk about like this is the type of, you know, we all come with some type of baggage, like whether that's, you know, from our families or like other relationships and stuff like that. And that's just kind of me offering like, I don't know, just letting it out, you know, just venting. And I think that sometimes we have to do that. And it's not in a way like how you mentioned, like I'm not bashing nobody. It's like, you know, I'm righting my wrongs too. It's like a few women that I hurt, I still harbor that shame. Like, you know, not to dwell in it and stuff like that, but to also be like, damn, I know what I did was kind of messed up, but at the end of the day, like all we can do is continue to learn and not hold ourselves in that shame and doubt, and you know, let that fester, because that can go to the next relationship, then the next relationship, then the next relationship. And I feel like that's why a lot of relationships can seem broken, because we tend to, I don't know, some people tend to like seek a, you know, whether it's relationship, situationship, like right after the next and next, like, and they think that's the healing, but really the healing is to sit back and reflect and be like, yo, this is what happened. Maybe this really wasn't like something that was healthy. Maybe this is not normal. Like what I did or what I've experienced, like what they did, whatever. But yeah, that's kind of how that song was too, man. You know, I think people will rock with that too. Like it's definitely on some groovy type, like on a groovy beat too. So that's hard, man.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, as I said before, Frankie, I really salute you for that song, because I feel like, you know, for us men to talk about, you know, some of our shortcomings in life, especially like when it comes to how we deal in relationships, you know, I think that that's something we need to talk a lot more about. You know, I feel like we kind of getting away from that. So I definitely salute you for that song. And that was a beautiful song that you wrote. But next, Franks, real quick, I want to get into like the process of, you know, like being in the studio. What is being in the studio with Kato like?
Yeah.
And you could be honest, Franks, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, really let people know. Because, like, I just be thinking to myself, like, I'm so intense. I'm so, you know what I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Just, I'm so about the grind and the process of making the music.
Yeah.
Like, I always wonder, like, I was like, man, I wonder how working with me would be from an artist perspective. So, yeah, Franks, let's know.
So I would say I'm definitely a very open person. Like, I'm not, I would say, like, naturally, music is probably one of those things I'm more, like, this is mine, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is my intellectual property, all that stuff. But I don't know, really just to kind of, like, sacrifice that type of thought a little bit and be like, yo, this is not just me, like, you know, like, this is a lot of other people in the process. And, you know, like, so I would say, like, man, just for you to even think about the type of artist that you want, the type of vision that you would like to portray, while also taking into consideration that artist-specific talents as well. So like even with the producers, like me as an artist, the engineers, letting them do their thing, but also like, you know, with you having like, man, the extensive like ear with music and stuff like that, like, you know, still knowing what sounds good or what can be a little bit better. So I would say, man, it was definitely a great experience to just be like an artist, you know, for this go around. And just like the hospitality you show, like having somebody else in the studio real time other than the engineer. Like other times I would probably just be in the studio by myself with the engineer, and I'm vibing because I know this ain't hard, you know. But like sometimes I could probably, you know, when I listen to some of my other projects and stuff like that, sometimes like there's some instances where I'd be like, dang, I wish I could have did this a little bit more, had a little bit different cadence on that. But really just to get that constructive like like feedback in real time, be like, okay, the lyrics is there, like the bars is always gonna be there, but like, you know, it's about the presenting. So like without you, and a lot of these other songs, it was like, how can we portray that feeling in the voice? Because the like, how can you believe this? You know, like take yourself back into that bag, and like that's something that I really haven't thought about. And really just, I don't know, just rocking with somebody on the journey to be like, yo, like it's funny instances that happen, like, you know, to keep the gears going. Like, it ain't always got to be work. Like, you know, it's a balance between like the fun too, and like, you know, really just recollecting and, man, just providing like some type of relief and healing. Like that's kind of how I feel. And you know, I definitely appreciate you for like allowing me to explore that venue, you know, like, and just really appreciate the artistry and like just my passion a little bit more, because it's like, I'm not naturally the person that's gonna like tap in with people consistently, you know, like to hold them accountable for their work. I mean, because most of the time they do, you know what I'm saying? But like sometimes it's like, yo, we got deadlines. And so to see you like kind of maneuver through that, and like in a way that you did, like not very demanding and stuff like that, still be like showing people grace and stuff like that, and you know, throughout as the process progressed, seeing you give yourself that grace, like that was cool to see. Just you really just taking on that hat, and you know, really diving deep into it and playing that role. Like that was something that was cool to see, and to see that you a serious person. I would say
Frankie, hold on, Frankie, I gotta stop you right there. I'm not serious. I'm not serious. I'm dead ass.
Yo, he's dead ass.
I'm dead ass.
That's a fact.
Continue, Frankie.
Nah, he's dead ass serious.
I had to let people know I'm not serious. I'm dead ass.
Yeah, so yeah. I would say like the intensity is what really like I don't know, what just makes it what it is. Like obviously, like I wouldn't say like dead ass in the sense of like you hounding, but it's like making sure people are held accountable. You feel me? And I think that's something that is important and people can lack, because you know there's your Suge Knight type people too, you know what I'm saying? Those type of executives and
that are physically hands-on.
Yeah, physically, you know, and ain't, you know, it's my way or the highway, you know. And you was like, nah, like we in this vehicle together, like let's figure out this GPS destination together and how we gonna get there, you know. And do we need snacks on the ride? Like that's the type of G you is. So.
Nah, I appreciate that, Frankie. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is my approach to music, and my approach to working with artists is just, you know, anytime I do something musically, I always make sure, or entertainment in general, but we just gonna focus on the music. Patrick, beloved, one of my favorite professors.
Shout out Pat.
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorite professors over at Syracuse. You know, one of the key things that he taught me a lot, but he said, Kato, this is a profession. Being in the music industry is a profession. So, you know, you have to carry yourself a certain way. So, you know, as relaxed and, you know, kind of easygoing as the music industry can be, when it comes down to making music is making the music. And I always want to go like, you know, I want to be professional, but at the same time too, I'm here to serve an artist. Like I'm like, you know, if he, you know, if Frankie trusted me with his 4th album, because you're an established artist. You have a following. You have people in other states who listen to your music who have never met you. You know what I'm saying? You have really gone in and shown that you care about your music. You care about your craft. You've proven that. So for me to be, you know, because like I said, I always told myself I need to focus on a couple things as far as finding my way in this music industry. I need to focus on, you know, shows such as this and radio, and I need to focus on, you know, being an A&R. And I was like, you know, if he's gonna allow me to A&R his 4th project and trust me with his fan base, trust me with his sound, trust me with his vision, I best to make sure that I come and I take this very seriously. So, you know, and like I always said too, you know, my key thing is when it comes to working, you know, I'm here to serve people. You know what I'm saying? I have a certain voice, and artists love working with me.
For
you know?
sure.
So I just talk, but I don't work with every artist. If I feel like I can't help you, if I feel like, if I don't like your music, if I don't like your music, if I don't believe in you, if I feel like, you know, if I just feel like I can't help you, I'm hands off. And with that, Franks, I never felt that way with you, and I never felt that way about your sound and what we had. And I was like, you know what? I really got to make sure that I take this even more. Because a lot of people, see, the key thing with a lot of people is that a lot of people think just because you and somebody else are friends, that there's leeway to mess up. There's leeway to, you know what I'm saying, to have some bullshit go on. And, you know, me personally, I don't believe in that. If I'm your friend, I'm gonna try to come through for you. I'm gonna try to do everything possible in my power to make sure that, you know, we meet a certain criterion. I'm gonna try to do everything in my power to make sure that we is on, you know what I'm saying, we put out quality work. You know what I'm saying? If we friends, I'm gonna go as extremely hard as I can for you. So that's why when you allowed me to come on and, like I said, oversee, you know, the fourth installment into your discography, I was like, man, I'm not finna play with this. Because I would never ever want you to resent me. I would never ever want you to be like, man, I trust him with my music. He's coming late to studio sessions. He's bringing a whole bunch of people who aren't about business into the process. His breath bad. You know what I'm saying? You know, he you know what I mean?
Nah,
like,
for sure.
just anything. So anytime I showed up, I tried to make sure that I was on time, I was prepared, I looked the part, I dressed the part, my mind was right. You know, I dedicated a lot to it. Because I'm like, you know, I don't want Frankie to, I don't want this to affect our friendship. Music is meant to bring people together. Music is meant to inspire people. Music should bring people closer. I didn't want it to drag us apart.
Nah, for sure.
So that was why I went so hard. That's why I was calling, and God bless Zach. Zach was the head studio engineer. That's why I was calling Zach 24/7. Yo, Zach, man, can we reschedule this time? It'll be a little bit easier for Frank. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and shout out to Zach, because Zach is a great guy. Zach be watching, nothing but love. But, you know, but that's why I was so steadfast on it, Frankie. So that's why I went as hard. I was like, man, regardless of how this come out, I want to make sure that me and Frankie is still, you know, on speaking terms. I want to make sure that our friendship is bettered from this. So yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's a fact, bro. It's definitely been some artists and things like that who I worked with, and I was just like, these raw people are, you know, they cool in their own rights, but I probably wouldn't
never work with them again. And I don't ever want people, like, if I come in and I'm myself, like, if I come in and I'm myself, and, you know, like I said, I understand I could be a little bit extra at times. I get that. But if I come in on myself, I give quality advice. I'm respectful to everybody. Anytime I walk into a room, I try to be respectful to everybody. And artists just don't like working with me, or people just not vibing with me. That's cool, because I was myself. As long if I know I wasn't disrespectful, I know I wasn't trifling, I know I wasn't lazy, I know that I wasn't being rude to nobody, and people don't rock with me, that's perfectly fine. I'm not meant for everybody to like. You know, and I've accepted that. There's 7.5, 8 billion people on this planet. Everybody not gonna like me, and I'm not gonna like everybody.
Free game.
You know what I'm saying? So that always has been my thing with it. Like, you know, if I go in and on myself and people don't like me, cool. But if I feel like I was respectful, I was kind, that I carried myself, and I stood on my morals and my principles, and I'm just not appreciated, that's cool. Because Kevin Gates said this: I go where I'm celebrated and appreciated, and never where I'm tolerated. So I tell people, please don't let me start feeling like I'm being tolerated, because I promise you I'll fall back.
Come on, man.
Because I'll go and I'll go and I'll create my own success. I don't necessarily, I love to work as a team and I love to join in with success, but I'll go and I'll work to create my own success.
Come on.
So, anyways, Frankie, because you gave me that platform, I was like, man, I'm about to value this. I'm about to cherish this. Because if I like I said, A&R is one thing that I definitely see myself doing. And it's definitely something that I'm passionate about. So when I seen that, I was like, you know what? This is my first opportunity. Frankie is my friend. I don't have no time to be playing.
Word. And yeah, man, I think, bro, it was just like in due time. Like, you know, I think, like, you was one of the biggest supporters, like, when Frank's the album dropped. Like, you know,
I was the physical at the house.
For sure. Like, I was you know, I would say I was a little established. Like, when we talked a little bit about, like, Cardi in the SoundCloud era, like, that's, I established myself in the SoundCloud era, but then that was, like, my I'm here to the world kind of situation, my introduction to the world, and to see like, you know, we didn't have a bond as we do now. However, it was still like, yo, you know, love is love. And to, I don't know, just to see like, man, like you put the album as your cover, I mean, like, you know, as your profile pic on Instagram when that joint first came out, like, you know, like a year after you like, yo, like, or probably like, man, probably like 6 months after you like, yo, I think we need a new project. And, you know, I started to really think about that and really went back into like my notebook and trying to like structure what Liberation was gonna be. And like, you know, Butterfly Effect, you know, I already had that kind of completed, but it was like, you know, I seen like how invested you was in my craft from like just that angle, you know, from that capacity. And it was just like, yo, when the time right, and I feel like it was a perfect time, and we did something monumental. But we gonna get into that when we talk about the after. But I do want to ask you, man, like as you know, as we transition to the, you know, after, you know, the album's complete, like, you know, the studio sessions done and stuff like that, like engineers sending tracks, joints mix. Is the album done after that? Is the work of the album done after, you know, after the studio sessions and stuff like that?
Not at all.
Like, especially, you know, especially diving into that as your, you know, your first experience. Like, a lot of people think, like, it's all, you know, it's just studio time, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, your song come out, you get your buzz and stuff like that. But, like, what does that look like, especially, like, from your angle, like, you know, diving into this realm?
Oh, man, well, I mean, you're talking about afterwards. I mean, Dame Dash said this. And I'm looking at the camera and I'm gonna say this. Dame Dash said this. You can have the hardest music ever. You can have the most fire music ever. You can have 10 diamond songs waiting to go. If you don't have marketing, promotion, advertising, you don't have those 3 things basically right there, your music will never be heard and your music will never sell. You know, and I try to tell people, talent isn't necessarily what really sells music anymore. Like, you know, Nicki Minaj has said this. Other artists have said this. I'm not the first to say this. I'm just repeating information that I've heard from other established artists. Talent ain't necessarily what sells music anymore. It's your popularity. Can you gain a following? Can you gain people's ears? Can you gain attention? Do people care about what you have to say? Do people value your opinion, or do people hate your opinion so much that they'll run and tear it down? So I always understood that, okay, Frank's got the talent, and talent does play a part, but at the same time too, if we don't market this, if we don't promote this, if we're not talking about this consistently, if this isn't a part, because it's in you, not on you, if this isn't a part of us and this isn't a part of our pretty much daily lives, then our music will never sell.
Word up.
Our people will never ever hear our music. And, you know, so Frankie, to answer your question in a simple, no. Music is great, and going to the recording studio and recording the album and putting it out there, and, you know, going hard with, you know what I'm saying, in the studio and finding beats and all that stuff, that's only really probably about 35-40% of the battle. Making connections with, you know, people at radio in order to get your song on the radio is a majority of the battle. Coming up with creative ways to, you know, get people excited for your album on social media is a majority of the battle. Interviews on podcast shows, like, you know what I'm saying, having people write about you in publications, getting on TV, that's where the real work comes out.
Man, that's a fact. And I guess, you know, to tap in on that, like, shout out to, you know, the team that, you know, was built around, like, this project, especially with that aspect, the after, you know. Shout out to my brother Ryan Rival Rodriguez, one of the greatest G's out there, one of the most brilliant minds.
Definitely shout out to Rival, social media genius.
For sure. And, you know, it's crazy because, you know, this is his third project, our third project, you know, when he's helped with the marketing and stuff like that. And, you know, I think this one is the most intricate that we've done. Like, I think they all had their own vibes, but to really see, like, to see what that is like to, all right, we have this product, how do we sell it? But then also, like, people not gonna hear the words right away. So, like, how do you compel people? Like, what type of visuals do you need? So a lot of that came with the cover art, and then, like, right, we're doing like the intricate like detailing of the, you know, the cover art to make it like an actual scene and things like that. It's like that was something that was really like different, and to see how serious, or in your case, like how dead ass serious, like there's people, what is about it, you see that in the work, you see that reflected. Like if you hear any of my other projects, you hear like that grind like reflected. Like you hear the pain in some of these songs, rather than like you hear it in the voice rather than just in the lyrics. And then like this the runs that we've been on, man. Like you know, completing the album, going to different radio shows. Like shout out to Oswego, who's hosted us. Shout out to a couple like radio stations in Buffalo who tapped into us. Shout out to Rochester, New York, who's blessing us.
Definitely,
like
yes. 100.9 WXIR, your #1 source for extreme independent radio. Definitely.
Good plug it, man. But like that's different. Like that's 3 different cities, like of like that at least somebody has heard this project and you know, and that we've tangibly been there. Like that's something that I've never done as a artist in my other endeavors, but like it's just been like a blessing. Like God just been, a lot of these opportunities have just been like granted, like people seeking for, you know, different artists and stuff like that. And I just happen to be that one, or we just happen to, you know, have the good connections where we're able to book these things. You know, for an example, like the Loud and Clear performance that we did at Syracuse on the Orange Television Network. Tap into that on YouTube. That was fire. Like that was, I've never did like a live performance where I've seen like mad cameras around me, like people, like it's a whole, like it's somebody working every camera, and like the little action, you know what I'm saying, that John, like I'm like, yo, we in a real life, you know, we in a real life set, and it's like, yo, this is what people dream of. This is what I dreamed of. Like, I'm not sure what your dreams was, but like, you know, even like going into the project, but it's like, you know, like what I said on Obi's Caddy, like them dreams that I had in my mama's living room is turned into the physical, and I can't lie, that's pretty cool. Like not to like, it's like, it's pretty cool, like not to, you know, you gotta stay humble with it, like, you know, not be so arrogant where it's like, you know, I'm that G now, I'm that guy, and like not really think about it so minimal and like just graze over it, like, you know, the grind keep going, but also like you never did that before, you never been here, so just take a moment to be like, yo, that's dope, you know, but it's like that's just the beginning of the doors that God is opening, you know what I'm saying? So.
Definitely, yeah. And you know, Frankie, real fast, like my biggest thing, like, you know, when it comes to getting you on Loud and Clear and Orange Television, I just want to speak on this. You know, when I told myself, yo, bro, I'm about to get ready to pay $65,000 to this school. I am not, and you know what I'm saying? Like people, I want to say like me, because I'm not no terrible person. And you know what I'm saying? I have a great mom and dad. I had a great foundation, a great support system.
Absolutely.
You know, shout out to, you know what I'm saying, Cato II and Beth Bonnell. Shout out to the 2 of them. But, you know, granny, sis, everybody. You know, everybody, the village that it took to raise me. But you want to know something? I told myself, like, you know, I look around in the Syracuse Master's program and in the music industry, like I said, it's only 2 people, excuse me, technically 5, because like I said, we had 3 or 4 Asian students who, you know what I'm saying, people of color who are, you know, valuing the education of the music biz. And then on top of that too, I'm like, man, I got all these resources around me that I didn't pay for. I'm not about to be the only one who reaps these benefits. Right. I'm not about to do that, because I've always believed, like, you know what I'm saying, Rick Ross told Nipsey Hussle this, you measure a person's success by the amount of people they can bless. So I'm like, man, I got so many artist friends, but I got Frank's 45 minutes down the street. I can get him recording in different spaces that he's probably never recorded in. I could get him working with producers that he's probably never worked with. I can get him, you know, getting people who have 30, 40 years of experience in the music industry to listen to his music and give him feedback. I gotta bless him with all these opportunities that I got too. Like, I gotta share the wealth.
Damn.
You know, and I tell you too, like, you know, Frankie, there was people who reached out to me and stuff like that who wanted to come up to Syracuse and come explore some of these benefits, but I just couldn't do it because at the same time too, I am a student and I'm a representative at this university. Yeah. You come up here and you don't know how to act. You come up here and, you know, like, I'm gonna say this, like, when you got an opportunity, or if you're working with other people the people that you bring to a situation represent you. So with you, Frankie, even though it's music and stuff like that, like I didn't want to bring up artists there who were rude, disrespectful, gave people their ass to kiss, because it just wasn't gonna happen. Because you wasn't finna come up there and make me look bad. You feel me?
For sure.
And you know, it's cool. Like, you know, like if you do hang out with people like that, that's one thing, but you gotta hold people accountable. And, you know, and I always told myself, don't put yourself and don't put people in positions that disappoint you. So I'm like, I know Frankie gonna come in, he's gonna speak intelligently, he's gonna be kind, he's gonna treat everybody with respect, he's gonna understand the magnitude of what I got going on. If I might have invited some other artists to come and tap in with me, they might have been coming in there late, pants below their ass. By the way, if you sagging, pull your pants up. Pants below their ass, you know what I'm saying, smelling like drugs, you know what I'm saying, just not carrying themselves, you know what I'm saying, in a professional setting. You know what I mean? Because as I said before, like, you know, this music, this is professional. If you want to go and you want to start doing something, or if you see yourself, if you aspire to be in a career, you need to carry yourself as a professional. That's why, like, when people ask me about, like, oh, I'm an aspiring music industry professional.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why, Frankie, like, you know, I always valued and appreciated you, because I knew that I could bring you into these spaces, and I knew that I could share this type of stuff with you. I knew that you'll come in and you'll carry yourself in the correct manner. So,
True.
you know, that was one of my big things too. Like, man, let me let Frankie come up here and meet some of these people. Hell, if Frankie's still around in the upstate New York area, I might be somewhere else. Maybe he still could reach out to some of these people. He could build up his network. You know, because I'm like, man, I'm not ever going to sit up here and just, you know what I'm saying, like, not put my dog onto different resources and things that can help him. Like, I'm not ever going to do that. And to me, that's some real hoe shit. Like, part of my language. But, like, if you got a team around you and you know that people can benefit well together from working with somebody else, I like connecting people.
For sure.
Hey, such and such, this is such and such, such and such, this is such and such, he do this, he do that. Man, I think y'all would be a great team. I've always been that way. Like, hiding resources and hiding opportunities from people, that's really some hoe shit to me.
For sure, for sure.
Like, you make me do this face.
Yeah. No, but in the same tangent, like, I definitely... Nah, the same tangent, like, I definitely agree, like, what you said, like, everybody, like, if you intentionally, you know, on that type of wave, like, that's definitely, you know, you gotta take that up with yourself, but, you know, it definitely are some people, like you said, that just don't have the type of etiquette or maneuver in the ways to be able to reap those,
And half the time, they don't know no better.
Yeah. I think one thing that we kind of just grazing upon is, like, we really made a whole album, like, in a university. Like, I think, you know, one of the, not saying that there's not any other professional environments, but, like, I think that's an environment that's kind of built off of honing in on professionalism, on, you know, on crafting your future and stuff like that. So it's like, to be able to do a music project, like, I just be thinking about it all the time, like, to do a whole music project, cohesive album, like, at a university, like one of the greatest universities, like, in New York, if not shit.
The country.
Yeah, the country.
Syracuse.
Like,
I'm sorry, Frankie. Real quick, I'm gonna have to correct you on that one.
Sure.
One of the greatest universities in the country. Syracuse University.
That's a fact, man.
You heard it from me, Timothy, Cato #3.
And don't
Yes.
stutter it.
Yes.
Nah,
Sorry, Frankie. I gotta show some love to Cuse.
That's a fact. Shout out to the renowned Syracuse University. But yeah, just the fact that we was able to craft up something like that, where other people, you know, they've been on other grinds, writing papers, and, you know what I'm saying, like, all that stuff. But the fact that we use this creativity and our passions, and then put it in that type of area, I don't know, and we provide an education in this album. Like, that was one of the big things, was to, what message do we want to get out, and to educate people on these certain aspects, like relationships, holding yourself accountable, like, you know, healing, you know, like, getting yourself on the right path. Like, you know, there's gonna be hindrances and bumps in the road, but man, God put you in these situations for a certain reason. So, you know, He won't give you anything that we can't handle. So, That's how I feel, man. It's just dope. Like, it's surreal, man. We on some like, man, like for real type, like, you know, man. That's how I feel. Like, just how those people, how these music artists, you know, like great music artists established, go into these spaces like universities and to teach about their craft, when we kind of, especially in these systems where we've kind of been shut out of, you know, like college, ideally, especially these predominantly white institutions, they are not like meant for us, not meant for a black man or, you know, person of color.
You seen recently what the Supreme Court did? Supreme Court just showed their ass.
It would.
Like, we can't even get, it's harder to even get a foot in the door. Please continue, I'm sorry.
Nah, man, so
I just was trying to highlight that because I'm glad you said that.
For sure. Yeah, so the fact that we was able to defeat all of those odds, and you know, in a place where we statistically not meant to be at and shouldn't be at, like, we did it, and man, you done accomplished a beautiful feat and getting another degree, like.
Thank you, Frankie.
And stepping into the lane that you want to go into, like we talked about earlier, like you building your plan, you know, and this is all a part of your plan, part of the plan that God got for you, you know, so.
Definitely. And I appreciate that, Frankie. Thank you. Because, you know, you saying that just kind of made me think about all the things that we overcame and all the things we done. And that's the one thing, like, I was like, okay, Kato, you going in here and you want to do a rap album, and you want to do a rap album at a very serious school based upon music. I was like, I want hip-hop to be represented in the correct way. And like I said before, I have no issue with what's going on in hip-hop right now. Everybody's eating. Ladies is having a very serious hip-hop renaissance that ain't nobody talking about. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know, the trap artists is still doing their thing. The more creative guys is coming up underneath, you know, like the kind of like, not necessarily rap weirdo, but kind of like, you know, like the SoundCloud era, you know what I'm saying? Like, with like Destroy Lonely and all those guys, and Cardi, all those guys are doing well. You know, I love where hip-hop is at today. I wish far fewer rappers were in prison and dead. But I love where hip-hop is today. So, you know, but that's why I just wanted to go in and I wanted to make something positive. Because, you know, Frankie, like, you know, and I want to ask you about this. When it comes to making a positive rap album, like, how do you do it where it's not corny? Because I'm not going to lie to you, like, you know, no disrespect to any other artist, and I'm just going to say, out of all the rap albums I've heard over, like, the last 5 or 6 years, the one guy who figured out how to do it, and he's probably a person we need to have a conversation about probably later on, but is Nipsey Hussle. When you go and you listen to Victory Lap, you know, Victory Lap, Nip is talking about, you know, businesses and ownership and, you know what I'm saying, how to hustle correctly. You know, and, you know, even though Nip did some hustling, you know what I'm saying, on his own, he even talked about, like, you know, he got a line in the song Million While You Young, streets ain't for everybody, get your grades up. So, like, anyways, Frankie, outside of, you know what I'm saying, Nip, I feel like you're probably really, like, the only person that I've really heard really make a very positive rap album, but it's not corny. It don't sound like you preaching to people. You don't sound lame. You know, like, you don't sound soft. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to anybody, but, like, how were you able to craft that? Like, what went into that? Like, what was that process like?
Yeah, you got me weak. So my cousin, so I'm a person, like, naturally, I don't curse in my raps off the record. Well, I guess it's on the record. Like, you know, I talk my talk. Like, you know, it's in my everyday vocabulary, I guess, like, just to be candid. But I think with something like music, it's a little bit more, you know, I try to be a little bit more intentional because my grandmother is listening, like my mom listening, stuff like that. Like, I remember one time my cousin called me a Christian Mingle rapper because I don't use raps. I mean, I don't use cussing in my rap.
He sound like a hater. I'll be real with you.
But it was love.
Christian Mingle, you got bars.
Yeah, Christian Mingle was.
It's hilarious that he said that, but I'm sorry, he sound like a hater.
Yeah. I would say, I mean,
because you really rap.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would say, like, to make an album that don't really, like, a positive album that don't sound like kids boppy. Like you're
not corny.
Yeah. I would say, I don't
You're
know.
not corny, but you didn't. I think the only, and I think we cut it at the end. The only word you said that was bad was "damn."
Yeah, and I think that's just an everyday, like, damn. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's like everyday lingo. But yeah, I think it do take a lot of thinking, but I think just because I built my style off of like not cursing, like all of, like most of the, like all of the songs that I've recorded since like 2011 hasn't had a cuss word in it. So I guess that's like been my muscle memory. But it allows you, because cussing is so prevalent, like it's, you know, it's
Helps
like
you stand out.
yeah, it's like, and it adds that grittiness to the raps when you know, when you talking about that, like it adds that element, like that extra little umph, like the sprinkle the curse word. It's like, all right. But like, because I don't do that, it forces me to think like
More creatively.
yeah, more creatively, more things to say, like, and it literally gives me that space to. So if I'm saying like MF or like, you know what I'm saying, like that's 4, you know what I'm saying, that's like 3-4 syllables, how, you know what I'm saying, however you plan on breaking it down, and like I can use that same breath to say something else, to say something that's probably gonna go over your head anyway, unless you listen to it like 2 or 3 times. But that's the cool thing about it though, because being that I don't have to curse in it, and it allows people to, they like, yeah, I didn't hear a curse word. Let me run that back one more time, and then you actually hear what's kind of being said. I think that's dope. But I do think that it does take a different level of like just tapping into the mental and really knowing what you want to say, and still keeping the remnants of like what hip hop is, you know, like good beats, good bars, good cadences, good flows. So although, you know,
Fire punchlines too.
Appreciate
Sorry,
that.
Frankie, I gotta cut you off real quick.
Nah, no doubt.
I never forget when you said recording in Syracuse, feeling like Mello when he played. Rather 15 with the braids or the 7 with the waves. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. Like everybody on my Instagram, what's the name? Like when I posted that video of just you spitting, everybody was like, nah, dude snapped.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. And it was crazy because when I thought about that line, like, I don't know where it came from. I really don't know where it came from. Like, obviously, you know, we was recording in Syracuse, and then I was like Mello when he played, and then soon as I said played, I was like braids and stuff, and I'm like, yo, this dude is like, I'm like, it's really crazy how these lines just come up in my head, and so like I try to connect it because that's 2 Mellos, like, you know, 15 Mello, like that's the Nuggets when he was, you know, in the game going in, but we can't disregard Nick's 7 Mello, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, man, I was hoping that I could like get that in there, and then when it fit so perfectly like that, like I'm like, man. So like, I guess like bringing that back a little bit, like, I don't know, man, it's just so dope to be crafting like bars, and you know, sometimes I don't, like, a line like that was just something I just had crafted, and it's cool to structure a song like where that can like just fit in perfectly. So
Are you a Mello fan?
I'm keeping a stack. Mello was my first favorite player. Like, I'm not a huge sports person, but like, man, I remember when he came to New York, like that once. I remember like hearing on the radio when he dropped like that 62-point game. And 2K, but I think it's like 2K, maybe like 2K 11, 12, or 13, like that. Those eras of 2Ks, man, with that Knicks team, with like, man, that was beautiful, man. Like, I'm like, when they had like Pablo Prigioni and them G like that, like them, but like they were shooters. Yeah, they were shooters. And
JR, I think Imam was on that team.
Oh, I think they had Amari stuff.
Amari was on that team too. Yeah.
And so it's like that was. I mean, in the like the modern day Golden State for me, you know what I'm saying? Like to see all those shooters and just to see Mello, a stocky dude, you know what I'm saying? But he still got game like anybody else. He can go, you know, he can go behind the perimeter. He can work you in the paint. Like,
triple threat, he nasty.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, all I have to say, Mello is
he up there for you.
Yeah, I'm sad that his career ended how it played out how it did, but that's just the game of life, man.
That's the game of life, yeah. Facts, you know. And Mello, man, I mean, you know, I got memories of him when he was on the cover of NBA Home Court, NBA Street. That was like one of my favorite NBA Street games. So yeah, and like I said, I just like Melo because he can hurt you in so many different ways. Finish at around the rim, take you off the dribble, post you up. Melo was nasty. But now, real quick, just not to get too much onto the topic of basketball, Frank, I want to get back to just your artistry. Yo, Frank, what's your coldest line on Beautiful Days? I got one in mind. I can tell you mine first if you need time to think.
Ooh.
But what's your coldest line? What's like that line that just make you go, damn?
I think I think it's a lot of great lines. I'm gonna be.
It's a few.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the one that sticks out most is because I pride myself on like the last couple bars, like you know what I'm saying, like I'm a home run. Like if you don't remember anything else, like or if you ain't compelled with anything else, I'm saying those last 2 bars of that last like scheme, that's gonna take you there. So I would say Obi's Caddy, going back to there when I was like through them droughts, stay dedicated like Wayne Carter.
Ding, 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 ding. That's exactly what I was thinking, bro.
It's like you just gotta.
Yes.
Like Wayne is so. We know who Wayne is.
A monster.
Like man.
Yeah.
So I would say like man, that's 2 of his. I mean, aside from No Ceilings, like those are 2 of his greatest like mixtape series. Like all the droughts. If you haven't listened to any of the droughts, tap in. If you haven't listened to any of the dedications, tap
Drought
in.
3. Wayne was going crazy. I'll never forget when he said, and these hoes start looking like fleas on my shit. Have you seen her? Who? Nina. She's on my hip. Yellow, white diamonds. Call it cheese on them grits. I was like, Lord, who says that?
That's what I'm saying. Like
that was Drought 3, Wayne.
Come on, Drought 3. How many drought? Man, he didn't got.
I think he ended it on 3.
Yeah.
He might have. I know he might have had a 4th drought, but it wasn't called Drought 4.
Yeah.
Dedication. He got like 6 of them.
Brother got like mad sorry for the waste. Like man,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Wayne. Yeah. When it come to mixtapes, I mean, I don't think that you can put maybe 50s up there. Dipset is up there. Locks. I'm probably forgetting a couple people. I don't know, because the definition of a mixtape is different.
For sure.
Because, like, for example, this Cardi album is a mixtape, a commercial mixtape. So, you know, Barter 6 by Young Thug is a commercial mixtape. But if we're talking about you over other people beats, you can't leave Wayne out of the top 5.
Jacking for
maybe
beat.
not. You might have to put him number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Weezy is the only person that I could say on top of my mind, like, that has consistently made, like, these are radio songs, too. Like, you think about, like, some of the tracks that he went on, like, these songs had their own success and stuff like that, but Wayne could get in the booth, drop it tomorrow, and you forget who the artist was, or you would just choose that Wayne version over the
original artist version.
Yeah, so
I think on No Ceilings, that was another great mixtape he made. On No Ceilings, I think he said, yo beat ain't safe.
It's not.
Yeah, or like Run This Town. No disrespect, as much as I love the Kanye West, Rihanna, and Jay-Z version, when Wayne go on Run This Town, I can't not listen to that version when I listen to Run This Town. Yeah.
That's a fact. Like, man, what's that?
When he go, you softer than nylon. Whoops, I meant nylon. Perfection is the goal, and I'm headed to the pylon. Crown fit me good. I ain't even got a try on. The pistol mean business. That bitch should have a tie on. Like, come on, bro. Then he switched the flow. Tina told me do this shit, so I had to do this shit. I get superhero money. They call that nigga super rich. Like, Wayne.
See, just how you went down that road, like, I hope people go down that road when listening, like, hearing those bars, like, especially because, you know, it give you a couple bars, like those are the last couple bars, and then it give you a little bit of the beat, you know what I'm saying, and then it come back again, like, yo, like, and that's what I hope people do, like, with the lyrics that I do, because there are, like, so many metaphors, similes that, you know, I like to pride myself on, so I just really want people to, like, think like that, and, like, even that intricate, like, if you listen to Obi's Caddy, like, after you listen to a whole Butterfly Effect, like, I want you to listen to some Wayne or something like that. I hope you play Butterfly. I hope you play Beautiful Days Back or the other catalog that I got, but
play everything.
You know what I'm saying? But
play it all.
But I hope, like, it take you, like, these metaphors and simile, like, through, you know, all the bars, like, this take you wherever I'm talking about. Like, you know, without you, that's how you make aloha like a Hawaiian greeting. Like, what?
That
like,
was fire.
yeah, you know
I forgot about that line. That
You
was a
know what
fire
I'm saying?
line.
Like, just like aloha, but then aloha is like hello in Hawaiian. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know where that comes from. Shout out to all my my babysitters. I would like to say my babysitters is like all the artists that I listen to. No disrespect to all my, you know, my grandmothers, my aunts and stuff like that.
Say, wait, where
They
you
would see
going with this? Yeah, I was so lost.
yeah, but I would say like these the people I was listening to. Like if I was going through pain or stress or like just wanted to take my mind somewhere else, like you know, these was the people who had my attention. Like these artists and stuff like that kept me occupied from trying to dive into a street life that wasn't quite frankly prepared. You know that I'm not prepared for it, and you know what I'm saying. Like, so I would say that's why they was those type of, you know, help me hone in and stay safe. So I would say like those type of Jesus. That's what I mean by babysitters.
Nah, I feel you. You know, rap,
Yeah.
like I said, they inspire us. You know, some rappers help raise us. You know what I'm saying? Some rappers we live by their words. So I feel you coming from Frankie.
For sure.
Frankie, what was I going with this? I got so much I want to ask you. Oh, okay. I'll ask you this first. So I created a couple playlists to kind of help give you some inspiration. Because I was like, you know, Frankie, we're going to make a positive album, but we want to tell our story. Because, you know, the way we describe Beautiful Daze is that it's a handbook for growth. So I made a couple playlists, Frankie. Tell me, what songs that, you know, on some of those playlists, like, really inspired you and helped you hone in on your craft? Like, I was like, man, like, okay, I need to kind of jump into this bag. Or, and what songs were you listening to maybe around that time, maybe that I didn't put on there that helped you do that same thing?
So the song I would say, I think like the basis of the album really came from, or at least how I started thinking about the album in my perspective was by listening to when you recommended KOD by J. Cole. Like, I loved that album.
His most important, probably the most important hip hop album of the last decade.
Yeah,
but I
man.
digress. Please continue.
Yeah, man. I say like that was pivotal for me because it was like you know, when I first heard it. Yeah, like I listened to Window Pane. Like obviously that's my speed, like that heavy bass and just like how we, you know, his lyrical content, like the thing that really make you feel. But when I dive back, I'm like, yo, all these joints really make you feel. And you know, as I dove into this album, like I don't think I really did that for a lot of albums like in recent years. Like really just sat down. I even looked at like some write-ups about it and like seen that some of the beats were inspired by SoundCloud rappers and stuff. And I'm like, yo, like that. I was that type of G. So if J. Cole, if this album that's so great by J. Cole is inspired by the SoundCloud era, and like I'm kind of a product of the SoundCloud era, it's like that's easy for me. That's not foreign to me. So I would say like really that just in you know, he talked about like, you know, drug use and the real aspect of it. You know, just like kind of both sides of it, kind of like, you know, you get into this, you know, getting high status and stuff like that. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, you know, like King's, what is it? You know, I don't know what all his other acronyms was and stuff like that. But naturally, also, I'm a huge J. Cole fan. Like, I wouldn't say that my style is based off his, but like when a lot of people, when they try to figure out like who, I don't sound like nobody, but like when people try to figure out a comparison, they be like, oh, like you kind of like a J. Cole type lyrical rapper. So I would say that, and I would say one thing that's in my head is the Dave East Never Been. You know, like Dave East is a more grittier type rapper, but on that joint he played it like he played the cool chill vibe and just talked about reflections of his journey. And then the last person I would say, Larry June. I'm heavy on my guy Larry June. Got my boy Torres shirt on right now.
There you go, Frankie.
But really like just the whole his chill cadence. You know, I don't rap like him at all. Like we ain't got the same, what you call it, like octaves of voice and stuff like that. He sing a little bit and stuff. I tried that a couple times. Yeah.
Nah, I'm sorry, bro. You brought it up. I gotta get on you. Yo, look, yo. I just want to make sure that y'all hold Frankie accountable. Y'all catch Frankie trying to sing.
Yeah.
And I know y'all haven't heard what I've heard. Shut it down. Anybody in the future, if you're around him before he let it get on DSPs, tell him to stick to bar spin.
Yeah.
Frankie, I got love for you, bro.
We snapped on Metamorphosis though when I sang on Butterfly Effect.
You got Metamorphosis, bro. But what you tried to do in the booth
we tried
up at Syracuse, I could not be a part of it.
We tried to do some
foolishness.
We done waited like 3 weeks for like a month at
for
that
some
point.
Auto-tune. Thank you, Syracuse. You guys finally got it.
Thank you. Put the auto-tune on, gave it 2 takes, and it wasn't punching. My boy, Kato gave it a chance. He's like, yo, play that back. Let me try it. Like, nah, that ain't it. I'm like, it wasn't there either. And I'm grateful that I think even as the album shaped out to be what it is, like that part just wouldn't fit.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, bro. Then oh my God. Dude, let's not even talk about that prank you and Right Road did.
Oh, man.
That shit had me in my feelings.
Yeah.
Because I thought y'all was dead ass. You on there sounded like
some soca reggae, something that was in the
house music type of vibe.
Yeah, 2017 Franks was
Wait a minute, that was a real song you recorded?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought you just Wait, you really went to the
It never went nowhere though. That was also
I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah, that was also working on a project in Oswego with some other people. It was a good experience, but that experimental vibe for that song just wasn't it. Some people rock with it though. It gave us some like some Drake views.
Frankie.
Yeah.
If somebody rock with that song, they do not care about you.
Man.
Okay, bro?
I'm gonna put it on SoundCloud for y'all to hear, man. Yeah.
Okay, drop it as a single on your own release. I do not want my name attached to that, bro. All right, Frakes. You're born and raised in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Buffalo, New York. I said this, I think, before we created the album, and I think probably the most important song we have on the album is Buffalo Part 2. No city has been through what Buffalo has been through in the last, I think, like 3 years. No disrespect to anybody's city.
For sure.
I'm morally speaking from probably definitely a little bit biased, but I remember when I came to you about doing, a follow-up to Buffalo, because that was something I was very adamant. I said adamantly. I was very adamant about, hey, we need to do a Buffalo Part 2. Now's the time. Can you talk to us? Because, a lot of people don't necessarily know about Buffalo. Shout out to Griselda, because I feel like they helped put Buffalo on the map. I feel like they helped, really helping put the entire upstate on the map, because there's a lot of very talented bar spitters who live in this area.
Right.
But can you kind of describe Buffalo to us? And can you take us through what Buffalo has been over the last few years?
For sure. Give me a second.
Mm-hmm. So I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah, so I feel like when a lot of people talk about Buffalo, they be like, yeah, it's the hood, and same stuff happening there like in every hood. But really, Buffalo's it's a place with character. Like, you go into the city, like, it's not nothing flashy like Toronto or like Houston or anything. Like, you don't have no huge like glassy buildings and futuristic like architecture. It's a place of grit, like,
hustle.
Yeah, hustle, like cement. And I think when you go into the city, you see that, and it's really about character. Like, we've been through a lot of things, like just even historically, like you had like a blizzard in '77, like, let's not talk about, our sports record, like, but, we done been through some pain. We getting there, though. We getting there.
Yeah, definitely.
But we done, especially, like, even talking about, like, within the last year, like, we had the top shooting, like, we had, the blizzard last year that,
killed people.
Yeah, like, literally, like, a winter killing people, and,
DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah, like, that's a lot for a city, and
and it happened all within what, like about the span of 8 months? Because the top shooting was like, what?
May,
right?
May.
The top shooting was like May, April, June. DeMar Hamlin was,
I think it was like December.
Had to be December.
Like
it had to be like December. Yeah, because it was playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
So DeMar Hamlin is December. And then the snowstorm was
Christmas.
2 months before that. Yeah,
that was Christmas.
Oh, Christmas. So it's like, dang. in the span of like 6-7 months, this city just been getting hit left and right. Like, it's just been things that, you know, either you don't see very often or things that we just haven't seen at all. Like, I just kind of break it down for people. When Damar Hamlin, when that injury happened, he died on that field. Like, I don't think people understand Damar. And then wasn't it a Monday night game or a Thursday night game? So if you're watching football, everybody's watching. Damar Hamlin died on that field. He had no brain activity and his heart wasn't beating, and he had no brain activity. He died. Shout out to the first responders, you know what I'm saying, who helped save Damar Hamlin's life.
But that's
tricky. You know, and I'm sure very few times have we ever seen an athlete die during the game. But, you know, or excuse me, I don't want to say, like, very few times have we seen an athlete, like, die, like, on the field. But, like, this was, I think, the first time in, like, football where we literally seen somebody who was fighting for their life.
No, for real.
You know, and, you know, shout out to Damar Hamlin, you know, because, you know, like I said, I'm just glad that he's good.
Yeah.
You know, because just everything he do for the community, like, I really salute him. But then, like I said, the top shooting, like, just going in there, just killing all them innocent people.
Wow, and somebody that wasn't even from our, like, that wasn't even from Buffalo, like, you know, I mean, it's not something you can explain on either side, like, even if it was somebody from Buffalo, but, like, to see how somebody really had a whole, like, manifesto, like, scripted out, like, and really targeted that specific place, like, that's in my, like, the only, I mean, it's like right in the vicinity of the crib.
Not too far from Jefferson, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, I actually, like, heard the shots go off.
Really?
Yeah, like, I just came back home, like, the day before.
No, Frank, you gotta break. You gotta take us through that, bro.
Yeah, man, it was.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was crazy to see, like real time. I was literally unlocking my door, and I heard, like, 3 shots, and it's sad to say, but, like, the first thing I thought, like, oh, it's a drive-by, people just shooting, you know what I'm saying?
You get used to it.
Yeah.
You get desensitized to it.
Then, like,
you cut on the news 30 minutes later.
Yeah, like, I'm on Facebook, like, I see, like, it's people, like, panicking right in front of the crib, because, like, I live in on a more of a main street. And, like, people like, yo, my cousin, like, somebody just shot my cousin and stuff like that, like, a young boy, like, you know, like, people just flustered. They don't know what's going on, but they know it's something going on. And, like, just to see, like, you know, there's, like, a lot of joints on Facebook Live of people who were there, like, recording, like, the person getting, you know, taken away. And it was one of the most peaceful ways, but, like,
they should have popped him.
Yo, for real, and I'm just, not to say that anything is good.
I don't wish death on nobody. They should have clapped him.
But, like, people, like, police officers have clapped people for less. In Buffalo, like, clap people, like, a high-speed chase, like, chases and stuff, that's not cool. But, however, to put 100 rounds in a truck for a high-speed chase rather than putting, you know what I'm saying, throwing down the tire traps and stuff like that. But it's somebody with things on him, like military registered, like, you know, military-esque artillery, and he just gets a calm talk and just go into the cop car, like. So Buffalo, all I have to say, Buffalo Part 2 is, like, really just, like, the voice of me being a voice for, man, the town, like, you know, talking about that. And, like, some people was like, it's kind of like a breakup song from Buffalo, like, and that's not the intention behind it, but in a way it's kind of like, you know, like, not a breakup, but elevating from, you know, it's like, this place has made me and, you know, shaped me in a lot of great ways, but it's not somewhere I can grow, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think about, like, you know, just the type of, you know, even in my area, like, just seeing, like, I went to college for 4 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, and to see the same people doing the same things, like, that's just the type of vibe and, you know, energy that's there. So, it's not to be like, it's a terrible place, but just being realistic, it's not a place for somebody who, like me, it's not a place for me. And I can't speak for nobody else, but it's not a place where I can comfortably grow and continue to do what I want to, because, I mean, it's a lot of hatred in the city too. I mean, it's a lot of pain and trauma in the city, and, you know, I think we do need to find those areas that's more cohesive for us. And sometimes if you stay somewhere too long, that can be more detrimental to you than really beneficial. So I think that's the kind of angle I was coming at it with, by also saying, although I may physically be gone from the town, like
Your heart always with Buffalo.
always, like you could take me out of my city, but you can't take it out of me. Like, and that's to say, like, I'm
Buffalo, but you gotta let it go.
facts, yeah, and that's to say, like, wherever I go, I'm gonna let people know proudly. Like, I ain't gonna say this my hood, like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm from Buffalo. I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
What is that? Figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Listen to Buffalo part two.
Yeah, and part one if you need to get that that itinerary, that initial itinerary of the town from Franks to Al.
DUFFALO, that's the place where I lay my dome. Yeah, Jay Skis was on that too, right?
Yeah, shout out to Jay Skis, man.
Facts.
Like,
Jay been putting in work. I'm proud of him.
nah, for sure.
Definitely proud of Jay Skis, man. He been grinding.
Yes, sir.
Man, but Frankie, just but thank you for that, because you know
no doubt.
I feel like if the events in that span would have happened in other bigger cities, I feel like it would have been talked about a lot more. So I'm just glad, because for those of you who don't know, I spent about 3 or 4 years in Buffalo. East side of Buffalo, actually, Newburgh, Roslyn area. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta make sure I let people know. So, I felt that. Like, I got memories of Buffalo. I got memories like living in Buffalo, New York, and growing up there. And I don't really know nobody there anymore. But as a matter of fact, I need to go back to my old neighborhood. Now that I think about it, it's probably been about like 12 years. Probably actually like about 15. But I just was hurt to just see that happen to any city, but especially a city where I came up in, especially a city where I live fairly close to.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you took us down that road. But Frankie, a couple last minute things. You're from New York, and the dominant sounds of New York are drill, whether it's Brooklyn drill or Bronx drill, and I would say like Coke Rap Mafioso, Griselda. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like Benny, Khan, West, Stove God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
like that type of sound. How I'm in Rochester. 38 special.
38,
Yeah, gotta
class
put special.
murder.
Yeah, gotta put special. So like, not to say that all these guys, Rick High. Anyways, the list goes on. Shout out to everybody and you know what I'm saying, upstate, but especially in the 716 and the 585 that's putting on for the city. We salute you.
Respect.
But you like and. Time out, Frankie. Let me celebrate your wins. This man sitting to my left, Frankie, Marquél, Frankie Knuckles, Jeffries, actually was on tour with Benny, open for Benny, and Khan, I ain't gonna say, like, is a fan of his music, likes his music. You know what I'm saying? We could definitely get into that. But Frankie, how did you, growing up here and, you know what I'm saying, really being born and raised in Buffalo and being around all these sounds of New York, how do you still craft your own?
I don't know, man, because I wouldn't.
Because no disrespect.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the guys upstate doing their thing, because everybody's dope and I don't like comparing people. But like, I feel like when it comes to like guys who just don't sound like anybody, who really are in their own lane and have their own sound, I feel like you're one of few upstate who, really got like your own thing going on.
That's interesting. I would say like through. There's always dominant sounds and areas, dominant sounds in the specific eras that that I just grew through in rapping. But I would say like really just keeping my authenticity and originality is like, I'm from obviously the region of New York, so it's always gonna be that type of resonance. Like, it's gonna be that type of similarity, whether that's the tone or the swagger or whatever. But I wouldn't say that my sound was built off of a New York sound or even a Buffalo sound like that you hear in Griselda. Like, cause my beat selection was always like, I love samples. Like, even the first song that I ever rapped up, like, it was a sample. Like, and cause that's because I grew up listening to soul music, with my grandmother, and
So all of us came up on that.
Yeah,
really.
like, and really just like inserting that in there, like keeping that roots, but also, I love, Kanye West was one of those great people who did that, like,
sampling genius.
Yeah,
the greatest hip hop sampler of all time, if you ask me.
Man, like, yeah, all of those people. I would say like just really trying like different types of beats that were in New York, because I love, I loved like Philly spitters. I loved, Chicago spitters, or more specifically like people of the old Kanye-esque, like just that sound and the people that he was working with. And so I would say I really incorporated like all of that together, and being that I know the old school music, I know how that sounds like, so it's like taking certain aspect like that, like the lyricism or flows, or or not want to say flows, but like the lyricism aspect of that, while also being current with the time. And like I can't be spitting on a like 50 beat per minute joint, like but I also can't be on some you know what I'm saying. So it's like the common ground is to just have that conversation, you know what I'm saying. So be in that conversational pocket, and I feel like a lot of people, they rap, but I don't feel like they really have that conversation with their listeners like that. Like when I listen to me, yeah, I listen to me sometimes. Like when I listen to me, it's like it sound like I'm right next to me, like hearing what I'm saying, rather than really just think of it as like a monolithic, like it's just music, So I would say just keeping my originality by, just staying true to myself, but also living my life. Like everybody hasn't lived the life that I have. Nobody lived the life that I have. Like, so it's like, how do I continue to make these memories? Keep myself persistent so I can have a story to tell. So that's how I would say my different. That's what kept me different, kept me true to my sound.
Mm-hmm. That's what's up, Frankie. Living in your truth.
No, for sure.
Yeah. And your album has definitely helped me realize that. Like, I went through about like a year or two, and I don't think many people who really know me for being quiet. Mm-hmm. But I went through about like a year or two where I was kind of letting my voice be kind of nullified, and I was kind of having doubts about myself, and I was a little bit, kind of had a lack of confidence and not really wanting to utilize my voice and not really comfortable with living in my own skin. And the Making the Beautiful Daze really, some other things, but the Making the Beautiful Daze really helped me kind of step back into like, being this person that I am and who I'm supposed to be and who I want to be. So I definitely salute you, and I thank you for that, homie, because that's what Beautiful Daze did for me.
My guy.
But Frankie, just because, I know we got to get ready to get up out of here soon, man. But Frankie, just before, like I said, I don't know whenever this is going to come out, but what do you feel like the lasting impact of this album will be? Like, what do you feel like when people listen to this a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Like, how do you feel like it'll age and mature and it'll grow? Like, what do you feel like the legacy of this album, like, is going to be?
I think it's going to open a lot of more eyes and let people know that I'm truly serious about my craft, and just to see that it's a team that was kind of built around this project, and like the promotion, like we in people's face, you know what I'm saying? Like, social media is one of those big things, but it's like, even just seeing like the increasing numbers, like at least, even from other projects and stuff like that, like the increasing number of people like viewing, like they seeing something, they hear something, or something like is compelling them. So it's like they gonna see that, he's serious, like he's a spitter, you know what I'm saying? And I think, it's gonna be like he has a true message for the people. So let me keep listening to this message. So that's how I always seen like my music. A lot of people don't watch the news. A lot of people don't watch TV or read what's going on in the articles. Like, so for me, music is kind of like that outlet to get that to the people. And like I think that this album really just gonna show people like, yo, I gotta be tapped in. I gotta continue to listen to what brother's saying, like, cause he chopping it up, So that's what I hope to see. And just for me it'll set it has already set the precedent. Like, yo, just keep going. Like all of these things that have been put in place, like even with just this project, like is not coincidental, you know, so just keep going. Like, if anything, it's a testament to keep going. So.
Gotcha. Well, Frankie, as I said before, it's been, now that we pretty much less than a week away from getting the album, you know, I'm extremely excited for what we got going. I really can't wait for us to push this Buffalo song. You know, I'm just so thankful. I'm so blessed for you being able to trust me with your discography. This is definitely, you know, always gonna be a project that an album that I hold very close to my heart. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, as I said, trusting me with your discography, because you are an artist that got it out the mud. You got it out the muscle. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm so happy that, you know, you went from doing this by yourself to doing this with a team. And I'm glad, like I said, that, you know, I could put you in a position to continue to better and further your career and yourself and your sound and your craftsmanship. But
sure.
Besides that, Frankie, anything that you want to tell the cameras, anything you want to tell the people before we get up out of here?
Man, I'm sitting, I know brother gave me my flowers, but on the right of me, you know, you are witnessing a legend. Not even in the making, like a legend that's just gonna continue to refine that legendary path. It's crazy. It's been a beautiful conversation, man. Beautiful Daze is coming out July 30th, 2023. Like, that's all I gotta say. Just stay tuned. Is there more you gotta say, brother?
Hey, man. Hey, Frankie. Come on now, Brody. But as always, y'all, make sure that y'all follow, like, comment, subscribe. I got more to say. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And my name is Kato. And make sure y'all keep it locked right here, because as always, I got more to say.